What is up, everybody? If you like the content I put up, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and leave me a comment below letting me know what you think of today's video. I feel like, look, I feel like they wanted to like make her design cool and then like ran out of budget halfway through. You feel me on that? Like they like put all this work into her weapons, but then like everything else was just like what happened with her face? They couldn't give her a nose, dots or something, like anything. They couldn't give her any more detail than this. Right? I mean, look at that. That looks like an unascended hero, this picture here. That looks like when you're like, when you first get the 1 star and you're like I think even Willow has a more detailed picture than that. All right, what is up, everybody? STARSKREAM here, and today we're going to be chatting about Serenity again. And I say it that way just because realistically we still haven't like figured everything out. Her traits are a little bit complicated and we have yet to figure out exactly how all of them work. And the meta is still very much developing around her. I feel like every week we're figuring out a new way to effectively use her, whether it be on offense or defense. A lot of people are figuring out teams that aren't using her on offense to be able to overcome defenses that have her and vice versa. So let's just dive in kind of where we left off last time. Now in the last video, you'll remember I kind of that was the first look, so I was just checking out her traits for like the very first time, and I've had a little bit of time over the holidays to try her out and see what works, see what doesn't work. I'm still definitely not an expert with her, but I definitely at least now have a little bit more experience with her. So let's do this. Let's go over her traits again. We'll go over her abilities over here again as well. I know last time I kind of forgot to do that separately from just gameplay. And then at the end of the video, I'll include some gameplay that I did on live stream. So you'll see me. I tried a bunch of different teams out, from assassins to Zul'Qad. You'll see. I'll have some gameplay for you guys. But first, let's go over these traits. So just for the basics, she has martial artist, obviously. She's an assassin. I think all assassins have it, which just increases her crit chance and dodge chance, which is always a good thing to have. She's fast, obviously, but her first kind of unique one is called Spellseeker. Allies' melee attacks have a chance to purge a buff on a basic attack and can't be retaliated against. So basically the way that works is as long as it's a melee attack and it's a basic attack, it can't be retaliated against, first of all. So like, for example, that kind of negates Arya out a little bit, as long as, again, it's a basic melee attack. But also has an opportunity to purge a buff as long as that melee attack was successful. So obviously, if the attack misses, it's not going to do anything. But the cool thing is it's a passive that gets applied to all of your teammates. So it's not just for Serenity, which passives that are like that kind of blanket affect your team are always good. The next one here is Sanctified Spell Absorption, which is allies take significantly reduced damage from non-physical and chaos attacks, which is great because we've already kind of got we've already got some damage reduction from other heroes. Rayla gives damage reduction, Grondor gives damage reduction, so it's good to pair with other heroes that also give a little bit of damage reduction, and obviously plays into the whole chaos damage meta that's currently going on to help mitigate some of the damage that you're receiving from everybody having tainted runes now, because they give them out, they've been giving them out a lot during these last few events and during the calendar and everything like that. So the next one is kind of confusing. Okay, so null magic technique is the main thing that we haven't like fully 100% figured out yet, and it's part of that is because they don't really give like a null magic description. It's listed in the abilities section, which we'll go over, but it's kind of annoying that they have this ability that just doesn't really have like a full-on explanation. But essentially is so other assassins will have the ability, so her, including her, obviously, so her, like Arya, Black Diamond, other assassins will have the ability to apply null magic on a basic attack. So obviously that helps a lot with somebody like Arya, who's doing tons of basic attacks all the time. But basically, null magic does not necessarily remove a buff. So it's not going to like eliminate an enemy's buffs, but it's going to apply a debuff to them that will prevent the next buff that they would receive. So it's like it's like the opposite of a foresight, right? So a foresight on your hero prevents the next debuff that's going to be on it. This is like the opposite of a foresight. So you're applying anti-foresight to an enemy hero, I guess is just the easiest way to put it. Now, the next one here says that all enemies start with a stack of null magic. So the reason this gets kind of confusing is it's hard to figure out what order things are going to get like applied or removed. And what I mean by that is, like, so for example, at the start of a match, Lily gets Oak Form, which is technically like a buff that we've seen other abilities be able to remove. Same with Agnon's Stone Form. Other abilities have been able to like remove his Stone Form. So I've seen that Void Aura in the beginning of a match can theoretically take away like Lily's Oak Form or something, so that they never even go into Oak Form, if that makes sense. So the entire enemy team is going to start with a blanket of this, but it's kind of hard to anticipate exactly what it's going to take away. And I'm sure in the future we're going to figure that out a little bit better, and you'll be able to plan for it better going into, like, let's say when you're going into a match, you'll be able to know exactly what your Void Aura is going to take away. But it might end up just being something that's kind of random. So just like with Craw, when Craw would block something, right, we weren't sure if it was going to block a Jin Silence or if it was going to block the debuff that they get from Malice, and that's what made it kind of tricky, because it was kind of just a coin toss to figure out what it was going to take away. But the more we figure out about that, I'll keep you guys posted. Adept Strike. Allies go again after using a single target melee physical attack once per round. Okay, so again, if you watched my last video, I did touch on this a little bit. Basically, Adept Strikes is trying to say that if Serenity, or one of your other heroes does a physical melee attack, it does not matter if it's a basic attack or a special attack. It just needs to be a physical melee attack. They will get a haste buff. So they'll get to attack twice. I don't know why they don't just call it a haste buff here, but that's what it is, right? So if you have Valken and he uses his second special, he will be able to basically do what the 5 festive Zen with Valken used to be able to do without needing Zen. Valken will haste himself, which is pretty nuts, and that applies to your entire team. Now, one thing I want to point out about this is that it doesn't matter if that specific hero is a ranged hero or not. So like Therend, for example, is not necessarily is a ranged hero. He's not like typically a up close and personal melee hero, but one of his special moves does a melee attack where he hits with his mug or whatever, and then that would be considered something that applies. Another example of that would be Zul'Qad's like second special applies, and also one thing I want to point out as well is that it doesn't matter if it does splash damage. So for example, Hagrim's first special does splash damage, but it's a single target melee ability, so physical ability, so he will actually get haste from using his first special, even though it hits more than just that one target. This also applies for Archon, for example. Archon's first special has not really splash damage, but he hits and then hits a couple other people. He will still get that haste buff, which is really important to note when you're trying to design attack teams around this specific ability. Again, we're still learning a lot, and we're still, the meta is still very constantly shifting around some of these abilities. So as we know more, we'll keep you posted on that. Now, really quick, before I get into the abilities, I do want to take a moment to really quick just plug my new Discord server. So depending on how long you've known me for, you may or may not remember something called STARSKREAM's Lounge. STARSKREAM's Lounge is something I created about 3 years ago on Reddit, on the Dungeon Boss subreddit, where basically I made a line chat group room where everybody on Reddit was invited to join, regardless of whether you're super experienced or not experienced at all. And it was a way for everybody to be able to hang out and be able to ask questions and learn and get better at the game. It was a way for newer players to get a hold of more experienced players. It was a way for experienced players to be able to help some of the newer players and kind of like help mold, the later on experienced players. It was a really cool thing. I had albums of like attack teams, and I was able to help people in like real time, which is sometimes hard to do on a medium like YouTube, right? But it ended up kind of, after a while, after about a year of me running it, this was 3 years ago. So after about a year of me running it, it ended up turning into more so just like a group of like friends. It was mostly just me and a group of people that I chatted with every day. We just kind of just, you know, shot the shit, you know, told each other about each other's lives. We would talk about events that were going on, give each other tips and stuff like that. So after about another year of that, it kind of fell off a little bit. I stopped maintaining it. A lot of people ended up retiring, and, you know, just life happens, right? But what I decided to do was I decided to make a 2.0 version of it on Discord. So I now have a Discord server, and I will be putting the link in the description of this video. I would like all of you to join my Discord server, whether you're super experienced, whether you're not super experienced. I have little areas for just normal chat. I have areas for like a little Discord RPG that we can all play with each other. I have an area for that specifically for Dungeon Boss, so you can ask any questions you want. Hey, how should I run this hero? How do I pass this this stage, or whatever the case may be? And then I also have room for other games as well. So like, if you like to play Dungeon Boss, obviously I assume you do if you're here watching this video, that doesn't necessarily mean this is the only game you play. So I play a bunch of other games like I've mentioned in previous videos, so I assume you might too. So I put a few different rooms in there for things like Destiny, things like Fortnite, other mobile games. You can ask me to add another little room if you play a specific game that you think other people might play as well. And then I also have a section for you, other content creators, to be able to post your own videos as well. So it's just kind of meant to be a melting pot of all of us so that we can all chat, hang out. Even if you don't play Dungeon Boss, there's a few people in there that literally don't even play Dungeon Boss. They're welcome as well. So definitely check out the link. If you don't have a Discord account, it takes 2 seconds to make it on your phone. It's the same basically as Line. It might take you a second to figure it out, but it's really not that complicated. And I hope to see you there. But anyways, let's get back into talking about Serenity. Her basic attack is called Double Daggers, which is 2 armor-piercing melee physical attacks on a target with a chance to purge a buff. So unlike her Void ability, this actually can purge an existing buff on an enemy, right? So, and it attacks twice, kind of like how Hagrim's basic attack hits twice, so does this one. And obviously, if you use it, you will get a stack of haste because it is a single target melee physical attack. Her next ability here is Void Assault, and Void Assault is, the description here is the only reason we even know what Null Magic does, is because in here it says Null Magic, which, preventing the next buff on an enemy. So that's the only information we have to go on here. But basically Void Assault attacks every enemy and applies this debuff, or this stack of this debuff on them. So again, it's not going to remove a buff that they already have on them that's already existing. So if they have an attack buff and you hit them with Void Assault, it's not going to remove that, but it's going to block the next incoming buff. I hope that makes sense. I've explained it a bunch of times now, but I'm just going to keep kind of like going over it just so it kind of starts to make sense, because right now, as of right now, there's not any other ability that's like this in the game, so that's the only reason I keep explaining it a bunch. Next one here is Spell Rend. Melee physical attack on a target, transfers 1 debuff and adds Null Magic to the enemy. So this will, if she has any type of debuff, it will transfer it. There's not really like a whole lot of debuffs that really matter right now, so I feel like this might be better in the future, but like for right now, the worst debuff you can really have is Silence, and she can't transfer it because she won't be able to use this ability if she's silenced. So for right now, it can transfer stuff like being burned or, you know, electrocuted or whatever the case may be, but it's not like super strong. I don't really end up using this move very often, but again, it will add Null Magic to an enemy, so it will be single target. She will get her haste, and it does add Null Magic, so not a bad move, but probably not one that like I would use over the other two. And her last special ability here is called Dispelling Strike. Armor and shield piercing melee physical attack on a target, purges all buffs and silences the target. So this is like really, this is a very strong move. It's a much better single target move than Spell Rend in my opinion. But again, just like it says, armor piercing, shield piercing, purges all buffs. So like, doesn't matter how many stacks of any buffs they have, it's going to purge them all. It ignores all immunities. So this is important because it will also silence through Lily's Oak form. It will silence through Agnon's whatever gargoyle form, and it starts powered, so you can use it right off the bat. So a pretty good arsenal. I'd say that, in my opinion, a lot of what Serenity's strength lies in is her passives. So she herself is strong for sure, and it obviously depends on the runes you have on her and how many stars. I've only got her at 4 stars, and she's still pretty strong. But typically she's not like the one that's like wiping the entire team. She can, but usually that's not her role. What she does is she makes all your other heroes a lot better. And that's kind of like where her strength really lies, is the ability for, so if you have an Archon, for example, she pairs extremely well with Archon because Archon's first ability does so much damage because you can pump Archon up to like 30,000 attack. So if Archon uses his first special, that little spinny thing, he can wipe out half their team, and then he gets to go again on after that. So Archon's super strong on defense. You don't even need to be the one controlling him. He's super strong on offense, but he's way stronger than he used to be simply because he now has the ability to be hasted right after he does that first move, which is nuts. I put out a few polls. I asked in my guild, I asked on my Discord that I talked about earlier, who people liked using Serenity with, and the general consensus seemed to be that she works extremely well with Zul'Qad, Malice, Archon, Valken, Hagrim, and Arya. Now, you can use her with anybody who does single target physical attack. So like, yeah, she can work really well with Shadowblade or Astrid or Hansuke or something like that. That's going to take all of us testing stuff out, trying new things to really kind of like figure out new and cool ways to use her effectively. But anyways, this video's gone on for a little bit now, so I'm going to cut it here. As I learn new stuff, I will definitely keep you guys posted, and I will definitely keep you guys updated. If you guys don't know, there's a area on my YouTube that's called Community. If you go to like my YouTube homepage, there's an area called Community where a lot of times I'll post stuff. Like during the calendar event, I was posting all the doors and stuff. I will still continue doing that, but a lot of what I was putting there, I'm going to now migrate over to the Discord. So now on the Discord, I'm going to be posting tips and tricks for events as they're happening. So that way I can give you guys real-time advice. There's already a bunch of like really great players that are in there. A lot of like really high level players that are already in the Discord. So it's definitely a reason to like go take advantage of joining that, especially if you're somebody that is still working on your roster that still needs advice. There's tons of opportunity to get advice from like some of the best players in the game. So definitely I hope to see you there, and I will see you guys next time. And then we'll try a different team. S3 on Valken to silence him. Yeah, so I got so used to running like Jhin on my offense teams that I forgot that like Valken isn't always silenced. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna take your advice on that one here, because realistically I didn't need to do anything to shade last match. Like that was a dumb move on my end. I want to take out him just because I feel like he's his biggest damage dealer. And then Jhin. I feel like this offense team might not work against really tough defenses, though, is kind of my main concern. So let's go for it. I'm just gonna try this, whatever. See what happens. Oh, you said we just busted boss invasion. Okay, I thought you said we just started one. I was like, what? All right, who do I into the pit here? I have no idea what I'm doing against a Kelpie. I don't know what Kelpie does. Cool, so I'm gonna incite doom and then do damage, I guess. Cool, that makes sense. All right, cool. So now I have not evasion, not haste. What does it even call it? Does it call it haste? Yeah, that's funny. Okay, and then I just, what? And then I just attack everybody, I guess? I don't know, whatever. Just going for it. That's so busted. Like, that's very clearly an AoE attack. Like, why am I... Why do I get haste from that? That's ridiculous. Well, that's that, I guess, huh? Did I just activate her oak form while she was in oak form? Like, these people are gonna be so mad. I would be mad. Some guy was just coming to my defense and just beating me up. Like, I beat that guy up twice. Like, he's like, I have 4K room power. I'm 2 levels below him. Why am I even coming up on this guy's, like, pool of options? I feel like, look, I feel like they wanted to, like, make her design cool and then like ran out of budget halfway through. You feel me on that? Like they like they like put all this work into her weapons, but then like everything else was just like what happened with her face? They couldn't give her a nose, dots or something, like anything. They couldn't give her any more detail than this. Right? I mean, look at that. That looks like an unascended hero, this picture here. That looks like when you're like, when you first get the 1 star and you're like I think even Willow has a more detailed picture than that. Let's bramble it up. Yo, sometimes it just be like that. They think it don't be like that, but it do. I was expecting a lot more people to be making fun of me, but it's fine. Oh, there we go. There's one. Thanks for the support, Hawker. I'm just beating the shit out of my own Bramble right now. Alright, 360 no scoped. This Jhin is gonna kick my ass. Yo, the Alrakis. Oh no, I'm gonna lose again. Does this heal me? Heals. Alright, let's see. Alright, we can still do this, boys. We got this. Yes! Yes! Outplayed. That was all skill. I'm not your buddy, guy. What do you think this is? I'm the one with the mic here. Alright, I have a good feeling about this team. I feel like this team is gonna smash. Alright. I'm trying not to be an idiot this time and silencing Falcon. I feel like my Arya used to do a lot more damage. Get smacked. What do you think this is? What do you think this is? You see Grandor just literally just use a punch attack? Grandor has this attack that's literally just a punch. See, I'm getting better. See, my mom told me that I would never be anything playing video games, but look at me now. I legitimately was not aware that Lily could be silenced in her oak form. That makes a ton of sense. I guess it makes DB logic sense. So the play is to incite doom, I assume, or am I? Because these fools have evasion. So do I incite doom? I feel like that's not necessarily the best play because I feel like I'm gonna miss. Does it matter if I miss? I guess that's the real question. Because I'm still gonna get haste, right? And probably at least one of my 3 attacks is gonna hit, right? All right, I believe in the heart of the cards. See, that's why I have trust issues. Steals 1 buff from all enemies and physical attack on target. So am I S1ing and then S2ing then, or what? Do I S2 on Alrakis? Screw it. Got him. And then kaboom, I guess. Yo. That was a solid move. That was like Vegeta using Final Atonement. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I feel like Hagrim is cool and probably works really well, but it's kind of like not necessarily like the most effective option, maybe just a more fun option. And I'm really surprised he didn't just one-hit KO everybody. That's kind of embarrassing. Maybe I just don't have enough attack on it. It's all right. Like the skin looks a lot cooler in the picture than it really does like in action. I'm just not I'm just not really. Whoa, hold on. Who has almost 6k rune power and is using a Bovis on defense? What's happening here? Meanwhile, this fucking black diamond almost wipes my team. What? Do I have like a handicap on right now? Also, hey Frank, you never answered my question, but it's chill. See, this is what I was worried about. So they had a bunch of they had the like I did nothing basically with that first attack. My question was, why am I supposed to have ZK in front? Am I supposed to have Zolkot in front of Archon? Like, you asked me why, and I'm asking you why not. What? Because he is off balance. Because he is off balance. Is that what you're saying? I'm noticing that the R is next to the E, so maybe you just hit that one on accident. This. All right, so here's kind of like what I was talking about. So, for example, with this, like with siphoning Sunder, if I steal this buff, well, I guess there's no guarantee that I'm going to steal the evasion buff, right? I guess I could steal the other buff on accident. And at least with Burning Berserk, as long as I hit one person, then at least I'll get evasion, right? So I guess that makes sense. I'm going to try it anyway. So I guess that time it worked out in my favor. But I could see why the Burning Berserk would be better.